Hi, welcome to Pilates week 3. So we're just going to work a little bit more on our arms in standing today. So if you just come feet together, we're going to go toes out, heels out, and then just find that equal pressure between forefoot and hind foot. So gently taking weight forward and then taking the weight back. Good. You don't have to lift your toes or heels, you can just transfer that weight one way and the other. Then come to that midpoint where you feel you've got equal weight through both areas of the feet. And then just from there, like you're swaying in the breeze, gently coming one way and the other, taking weight through right foot and back through the left foot. And then come to that midpoint where you've got nice equal pressure between both areas of the feet. And then from there, we're going to come up nice and long through the legs. So just make sure that you're not locking out through your knees. So just soften through the kneecaps, make sure they're just relaxed off. And then we're going to think about that pelvis. Imagine the top of your waistband, so top of a big bowl, and you've got a marble at the bottom of that bowl. And from there, we're going to just gently roll the marble forward and backwards in the bowl. So you're feeling like you're just opening up, lengthening through the back, and then arching through the back and lengthening through the front. So working on that pelvic tilt, rolling that marble forwards and backwards, and coming up to that midpoint where that marble's at the centre of the bowl, keeping the knees soft. So if you've locked out those knees, just relax off again, and then keeping the legs nice and long. We're going to then think on top of that pelvis, that nice stable bowl, we're going to lengthen up through the spine, lengthen up through the back of the neck. So make sure you're not chin up towards the ceiling, but you're lengthening through the back of the head and neck, and tuck that chin down gently. Good. So from there, we're going to come into toy soldier. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to engage through the pelvic floor. So you're going to pull up as though you're going to stop yourself from passing water, passing wind. And then from there, pulling that belly button in towards your spine. And we're just going to do a big loosening off through the shoulders to begin with. Good. And then back the other way. Good. And then lift those shoulders up towards your ears. Glide them back together. Glide them down. So from here, you equal pressure through both feet, soft knees, pelvis nice and neutral, lengthening through the spine, shoulders down and back. Core switched on, floating hands to shoulder height. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to lift one arm up and the opposite heel. In as you come back to the centre, out as you come through the other side. Good. Breathing out. In as you come back down. Out. In as you come back down. Keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Keeping the knees soft and keeping everything from pelvis up to the shoulders nice and still. And then you're moving from the shoulders up the arms, from the hip down the leg. Breathing out and in. Good. Think about switching on through the core muscles. Just starting to warm up a little bit. Get everything moving. Those core muscles firing up. Let's do 2 more on either side. Last ones. Good, well done. And then relax down. Good, so from there, just loosen off through the shoulders again. Make sure that pelvis is still nice and neutral. We're going to keep those core muscles engaged, keep the shoulders down. And then from there, just floating the arms up to shoulder height. And then we're going to just imagine you've got a big bowl. So a really big bowl in front of you, you're holding with your hands, and then you're just going to slide your arms up to the outer edge of the bowl, and then coming back down again. So again, keep those shoulders down, make sure they're not coming up towards your ears. Keep the shoulders down, opening up, and coming back down again. Good. A really big bowl, just coming up to the side of the bowl, and back down again. Good. Keep the shoulders down, open up through the chest, Make sure you're not arching through that lower back, so keeping that marble at the bottom of that bowl. Good. Breathing in, breathing out. Good, breathing in, breathing out. Let's do 2 more. Last ones. Good, well done. And relax down. And then from there, just loosen off through the arms, give them a little shake out. Good. So we're going to keep those feet hip width apart, keeping the knees soft, equal pressure through the feet, pelvis up nice and neutral, shoulder blades down and back, so collarbones nice and wide, and that nice gap in between your shoulders and your ears. And then from there, we're going to come into Cleopatra. So we're going to make sure that pelvis is nice and neutral. Breath in. As you breathe out, just gently pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. I'm just going to float the elbows to 90 degrees here. So palms up towards the ceiling, keeping the knees soft. And we're just going to rotate the arms out. So the elbows stay next to your side. And then from there, we're going to turn the palms down, lengthen the arms. Palms up, elbows in, rotate back to the center. So opening up, palms down, lengthen, elbows in, palms up, rotate back in. Rotate out, palms down, lengthen, elbows in, palms up, rotate back. So from there, just opening up through the front of the shoulders. And as we come out to the side, just making sure that those hands stay next to you. So we're not coming back behind you, they're staying next to you, palms up and back in. Out, palms down, lengthen, elbows in, rotate back. Breathing it out. Good. Just opening up through the shoulders. Keeping the core switched on, keeping that back nice and long. Good. Keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Going to do 2 more. Last one. Good, well done. And relax down. Good, again, just a little loosen off through the shoulders. So keep the feet hip width apart, equal pressure through front of the foot, back of the foot, left and right legs. Up nice and tall through the legs, pelvis nice and neutral. Drop those shoulders down and back, keep the back of the neck nice and long. And then from there, we're going to do lateral raises with the arms. So we're going to keep those shoulder blades down back, keep the collarbones nice and wide. So as you're doing this, make sure you don't kind of come forward and up, which is what we tend to do when we get a bit, our arms start to feel heavy and our muscles start to fatigue a little bit. So from there, breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, coming up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. And then we're just going to float those arms up and out to the side. Good. And from there, I'm just going to get you to turn your palms up, palms down. Good. Palms up, keep breathing. Palms down. Just working through the shoulders. Palms up, palms down. Good. Keeping those arms out next to you, and they're not coming behind you. Good. And then from there, just going to turn the palms down. Keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Collarbones wide. We're going to do some small circles. Keep breathing. Keep the knees nice and soft. Pelvis nice and neutral. Good. And then we're going to change back in the other direction. Good. Keep the shoulders down. Collarbones wide. You should feel like you're working to keep those shoulders down away from your ears. You're just pulling those shoulder blades almost down towards opposite bottom cheek to keep them down. Good. If you can carry on for a little bit longer, I'm going to do slightly bigger circles. So you start to feel it in the arms. Good, 2 more in this direction, then we're going to try and do the same in the other direction. So last one, change direction. Keep those shoulders down, keep the pelvis nice and neutral, core switched on, keep breathing. We're going to do 4, 3, good, well done, 2, and 1, good, nice, well done, and relax down, good, have a loosen off through those arms. Nice, well done. Okay, so from here, we're then just going to come into our roll down. So feet hip width apart, knees nice and soft, pelvis nice and neutral, lengthening through the back of the spine, through the back of the neck, shoulders down. And all that blood coming back down into your hands. And then from there, we're going to really think about each vertebrae one at a time, folding forward. So we're going to engage through the core muscles, buckling up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. And then we're going to drop our chin to our chest. I'm going to roll down one vertebra at a time. So I want you to be really mindful and aware of the spine, keeping that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. Feeling that stretch through the spine. Keep breathing. Really opening up through the lower back. When you can't go any further, then we're going to tip forward through the pelvis. Good. And then stacking up pelvis first. You're really going to think, bring the pelvis up, marble to the bottom of the bowl, and then stacking up through the spine. And just working to where you're comfortable. So if that means that you just start with a really small roll down and coming back up, that's absolutely fine. If you want to go slightly further and just work, you might find that as you do a few of them, you might feel like you can just go a little bit further each time. Especially first thing in the morning. Just everything's just a bit stiff and doesn't move much. Stacking up pelvis first and just visualize the spine stacking up one vertebrae at a time. Try and keep the shoulders down, lengthen through the back of the neck and up nice and tall. Good, and again, chin to chest. Keep breathing. Good, and again, one more. Good, well done. Good, okay, so then we're going to come down onto our mat. So, just once you come down onto the mat, make sure that your feet are in line with your knees, hips and shoulders. So you don't want the feet really close together or off to one side. You want to try and keep, if you're going to draw lines between all the joints through ankle, knees, hips and shoulders, got nice two nice long parallel lines between each of them. So coming down onto your back, making sure feet, knees, hips and shoulders are in 2 tram lines. And from there, we're just going to make sure that those shoulders are snuggled down away from our ears. The back of the neck is nice and long, so make sure you're not lifting chin up towards the ceiling or you're not tucking down too much, but keeping the back of the neck nice and long. And shoulder blades, just snuggle them down underneath the rib cage, open up through the collarbones. So from here, just want you to imagine, so directly underneath your belly button, you've got a marshmallow in between your spine and the mat. And directly underneath your breastbone, between spine and mat, you've got 2 pence coin. And I just want you to start with to squash down onto them. When you do that, you should feel like your tummy muscles are working to push you down, and maybe your tailbone just starts to peel up off of the mat. And then lifting away from them. So keeping your bottom and shoulders on the mat, but arching away from the marshmallow, that 2 pence coin. Squashing back down. Good. And then lifting up and away. And then I want you to come down so that lower spine directly underneath the belly button, it just comes down at least halfway onto that marshmallow. If you know you arch through your lower back, bring down a little bit further, and that your spine is in contact with that 2 pence coin. And just take a bit of a mental note there of what you feel of the pressure of your spine onto the mat. So keeping that pressure equal as we work through the exercises. So from there, we're just going to start off with the arms of our double leg stretch. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Keeping the collarbones wide, we're going to bring hands up towards the ceiling. So not together, but above your shoulders. So keeping that width through the hands. And from there, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to take both arms above your head, and then breathing in as you circle the arms round and coming back up towards the ceiling. Keep the collarbones wide. So breathing out, lengthen the arms above your head, breathing in, circle around. So you're drawing 2 big semicircles back to back. Good. Breathing out. But making sure as you breathe out, you're not lifting away from that 2 pence coin or that marshmallow. You're keeping those core muscles switched on. Good. Keep the shoulders down, collarbones wide, neck nice and long. Let's do one more, just the arms. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, you're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, both arms, one leg, lengthen away, keeping everything else through the back, that pressure of the back of the mat nice and still. Breathing in as you come back, foot comes up, arms to the ceiling. Out, lengthen the opposite leg away, both arms up and round. So you're alternating legs in both arms at the same time. A little coordination test for you. Keeping that same pressure down of your back onto the mat. Now you can either stay in that position, or if you want to take it up a level, then take a breath in. As you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop. Breath in as you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it. And from here, lengthen one leg, both arms away. Circle around and come up. Breathing out, lengthen the other leg away. But making sure that you're not lifting that off that marshmallow. So keeping that same pressure of your back onto the mat. If you feel like you're arching and lifting away from that marshmallow, then come back, feet onto floor. Breathing out as you lengthen, in as you circle around. Good. Let's do 2 more on either side. Last ones. Keeping that back down. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, if you've got your knees up at tabletop, hug them towards you. If your feet are on the floor, then just hug one knee in towards your chest and then bring the other one to join it. And gently hug knees to chest and then allow the arms to lengthen out. You're just starting to peel that lower spine off the mat and back down again. Good. And then from there, we're going to pop your hands onto your knees. Just do a big circle, those knees over your chest. Good. And then back in the other direction. Good, well done. Hug knees into chest for one more time. And then lower one foot to the floor and bring the other one down to join it. Good. So we're going to just make sure that those feet, knees, hips and shoulders are in 2 tram lines again. You're going to snuggle those shoulder blades down underneath the rib cage, collarbones wide and keeping that gap in between ears and shoulders, and make sure the back of the neck's nice and long. Have your arms down by your side to begin with, and then just arch and hollow away from the marshmallow 2-pence coin, squash down, lift up, squash down onto them again, halfway down onto that marshmallow, but so the spine's in contact with that 2-pence coin. If you know you arch through your lower back, maybe come down a little bit further through that lower back, and just find that same pressure of your back onto the mat in that position. And then from there, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to engage through the core muscles again, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop, so 90 degrees hip and knee. And then we're going to lengthen through that leg. If you need a little bit of a soft knee because the hamstrings are a bit tight, that's fine. And then from there, we're going to take a breath in, keeping that same pressure of your back on the mat. As you breathe out, lower the leg down. Breathe in, coming back up again. Breathe out, tap down, breathe in, come back up. Good. Keeping that same pressure of your back onto the mat. If you feel you can do that nicely without lifting or changing that pressure of your back onto the mat, then bring your arms across your chest, breathing out as you lower, in as you come back up. Good. Out as you lower, in as you come back up. Nice soft toes on the other leg, so make sure you're not clawing those toes into the mat. Good. Breathing out as you lower, in as you lift. Good. Let's do 2 more. Breathing out as you lower, in as you lift, out as you lower, in as you lift. Good. Float that leg back to tabletop, relax it to the floor, keep the core switched on, breath in. As you breathe out, float the other leg to the tabletop, lengthening through that leg. Soften if you need to. Breath in. As you breathe out, tap down. Breathe in, come back up. Breathe out, tap down. Breathe in, come back up. Good. Out, tap down, keep that same pressure back on the mat, keep the core switched on, make sure you're not lifting off that marshmallow, that 2-pence coin, but also make sure that you're not tipping the pelvis as well. So imagine your pelvis is nice and level. So if you imagine across the hip bones at the front of the pelvis, you've got a spirit level, and just pop your hands onto those bony points and make sure that they're level. So as we lift and lower one leg, we're making sure that with that spirit level isn't tipping down to that side. Breathing out as you lower, in as you lift. Good. Out as you lower, in as you lift. Good. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, get all done, and 1. Okay. And then from there, we're just going to do that similar exercise, but we're just going to bring the leg out to the side slightly. So make sure you're nice and neutral. Breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pull up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop. And then as you lengthen that leg, you're going to imagine that that leg's like the hour hand on a clock, and it's pointing up to 12 o'clock. So from there, I then want you to keep the pelvis, that spirit level, really nice and still. Keep the same pressure of your back onto the mat. You're going to bring that leg out to, so your left leg's up at 12 o'clock. You're going to bring that left leg out to 11 o'clock. From there, breath in as you breathe out. Tap down, so it'll come down just towards the side of the mat. Breathe in as you come back up. Breathe out, tap down to the side of the mat. Breathe in, come back up. Keeping that same pressure of your back onto the mat. Make sure you're not tipping that left side down more into the mat than the right side. Good. So this just uses a little bit more of that core stability. Those muscles just have to fire up a little bit more because of the weight of that leg out to the side. Breathing out as you tap down, in as you lift. We'll do 3 more on that side. Keep that pressure the same. Last one. Good, well done. Come back to the center. Float the leg to tabletop. Relax it down. Good. And we'll just make sure you're nice and neutral again. Pelvis nice and neutral. Down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. Breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles. Breath in as you breathe out, float the right leg to tabletop. Lengthen through that right leg. Imagine, again, that right leg's like an hour hand on the clock, pointing up to 12. We're going to take it out to 1 o'clock. So not pointing the toes to 1 o'clock, but that whole leg comes out to 1 o'clock. Keeping that same pressure of your back on the mat. Breathe out as you tap down to the outside edge of the mat. In as you lift up. Out as you tap down. In as you lift up. Good. Keep that nice neutral position on the mat. So make sure you're not putting more pressure through the right side of the spine, trying to use those core muscles. Make sure you're not clawing through those left toes. Good. Breathing out as you lower, in as you lift. Good, let's do 3 more. 2 and 1. Good, well done. Okay, float that leg back to tabletop, lower it down. Just have a big lengthen through arms and legs, stretching through the whole body. As you breathe in, reach the toes and fingertips away from one another. As you breathe out, relax your back down into the mat. Breathing in, reaching away. Breathing out, flatten down into the mat. Good, one more time, big breath in. And relaxing down, good. And bring your arms back down by your side. So from there, we're going to then just bend one leg up, nice and close to your bottom. So as close as you can comfortably go to your bottom, bend the other one up to join it. So bring those feet nice and close. And we're just going to come into our shoulder bridge. So again, like we did in the roll down, really mindfully thinking about the spine and each segment of the spine moving one at a time. So from there, have your arms down by your side. Make sure that neck's nice and long. Shoulders are dropped down away from your ears. Just lift your hips if you need to and make sure that you come down onto that marshmallow and that 2p coin. Good. So from there, we're going to take a breath in. And as you breathe out, we're going to engage through the core muscles. So pulling up through the pelvic floor, gently down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to really squash down onto that marshmallow. And as you do that, you should feel like your coccyx and sacrum starts to peel off. We're going to shorten through the tummy muscles, squeeze through the bottom, and try and peel one vertebra at a time up off of the mat. Keep breathing as you need to. And you're not going to lift too far, so I don't want you arching through the lower back or feeling it in the lower back. I want you still working through the bottom, feeling like you're working through the tummy a little bit as well. And then from there, we're going to drop that breastbone down so that you squash that 2p coin. You're going to shorten through the tummy, squeeze through the bottom, and one vertebra at a time, really mindfully thinking about each vertebra as they come down onto the mat. And then trying to lower all the way down into that sacrum. So really trying to feel that movement through the spine. So if you're feeling really stiff and you want to just use your arms for a little bit of support, peeling up, shortening through tummy and bottom, lengthening through, not arching through the lower back, so you shouldn't feel it through the lower back, and then shorten through the tummy, lower down through that breastbone, and then one vertebra at a time. The last thing to come down is that sacrum, and coming into that nice neutral position. Good. And again, rolling through. Keep breathing. Think shorten through the tummy, lifting through the bottom, squeezing through the glutes, and peeling up. Good. If you've got good movement through the spine, then you can pop your arms across your chest. It just makes it slightly harder. You might feel like it's a bit more shaky or a bit stiffer in that position. But it's just your spine getting used to opening up and moving. And sometimes the more you do, the shakier they get. But actually, that's just because your spine's moving a little bit more than it was the last time. So if it feels like a big block of wood just lowering down all in one go, then you really just need to try and focus on maybe just on a small part. So even if you start focusing on this very lower squashing of that marshmallow, peeling out coccyx, sacrum, and then coming back down again, you can work on that. And then you can build up to lifting all the way through. And then down again. Keep those knees pointing up towards the ceiling. We're going to do one more. Keep breathing. Bottom, tummy muscles, peeling each vertebrae one at a time, coming long through the spine, keeping a little bit of work through the tummy, not arching through the lower back, and then lower down, breastbone down first, shorten through the tummy muscles, squeeze through the bottom muscles, and control down. Good, well done. Okay, we're going to come onto our side. And from there, you can either lengthen your arm out long or support your head. We're going to bring your feet, straight down. So lengthening through the legs all the way down. So from the top of the crown of your head through to your heels is a really nice long straight line. So if someone's looking down from above, they just see nice long straight lines. So making sure you're not leaning forward or arching or bending through the hips. And then from that position, we're also going to just take a slight lean forward. So if someone's looking down from above, they see slightly more of your back than your front. We're going to just try and make sure, so in this position it's easy to squish down and relax into the mat. We're going to just lengthen through the spine. So imagine you can just slide your fingertips or a ribbon underneath your waist between the waist and the mat. And making sure that you're not arching through that lower back and you're not curling through the lower back. So just maybe rock that pelvis forward and backwards, find that nice neutral position where you're lengthening down through the back, gently pulling up through the front. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to engage through the pelvic floor. So pulling up through the pelvic floor, pull that belly button towards your spine gently. We're going to just lengthen that top leg so it's slightly longer than the bottom leg, so it's keeping that little gap in between your waist and the mat. Toes pointing towards the floor. You're going to lift with your heel and then lower down again. But you're going to really make sure that you keep everything from your hip up and really nice, and so your pelvis up, so really nice and still. So that hip's moving and you're feeling like you're working through these bottom muscles at the back of the hip, but everything from the pelvis up stays nice and still. So it's easy to lift too high, squash into the mat and use your waist here, but we're not. We're going to keep that really nice and long. So pop your hand on your hip and keep that leg really nice and long. Breathing out and in. Good. Make sure you're not lifting too high. You should start to feel that just on the outside of the hip. Good. We'll do two more. Good, well done. And relax off. I'm going to bring the bottom leg to the front edge of the mat, and you can either bring that top leg behind or in front, whichever is most comfortable for you, or even if you need to, you can just bring it back. So we're going to work through lifting this lower leg. So bring that top leg out of the way. Keep that bottom leg nice and long. And you're going to think about lifting with the heel. So we're going to keep that little gap between your waist and the mat. Keep the core switched on. And you're going to think about lifting with the heel and then tapping down. Again, it's not a big movement. If you're getting a really big movement, you're probably starting to use muscles other than those inner thigh muscles, those adductors through that inner thigh. So breathing out as you lift, in as you lower. Good. And as you lower, don't lower the weight of the leg onto the mat. So you're going to keep working through that inner thigh all the time. Lifting, controlling down. As soon as your leg just starts to make contact with the mat, lift up again. Good. Maybe three more. 2 and 3. Good, well done. Okay, and relax off. Good. And then we're going to swap sides. So coming down onto the other side, I'm going to lengthen through both legs all the way straight. So from the crown of your head to your heels on both sides, a nice long straight line. You're going to just have that little gap between your waist and mat, so make sure you're not sinking down into the mat, but just lengthening through the spine. So just fit your fingertips or a ribbon in between your waist and the mat. And then from there, pelvis nice and neutral, so make sure you're not arching or hollowing too much through that lower back. And then if someone's looking directly down from above, they'll see that nice long straight body, but just a slightly more of the back of you than the front of you, so just a slight lean forward. And then from there, we're going to lift that top leg and make it slightly longer than the bottom leg. You're going to breathe out as you lift, in as you lower. Keeping those core muscles switched on, keeping everything from the pelvis up really nice and still. We're lifting with the heel, lowering with the toes. Good. And so making sure you're not lifting too high and you're keeping that leg nice and long. In and out. And if you feel like you're using your waist to lift, keep that leg really nice and long and make sure you're not lifting too high. You should be feeling it through the outside of that bottom cheek. And do 3 more. 2 and 1. Good, well done. And then from there, we're going to bring that top leg up out of the way. So bottom leg to the front edge of the mat, top leg either behind or long or in front, your choice. Keep that little gap, keep the pelvis nice and neutral, core switched on, and we're going to lift and lower. Good. Little lift, making sure you're not using the upper body. And as you lower down, keep working through that inner thigh and making sure that you're not allowing the leg to take its weight back down into the mat, but you're keeping that inner thigh working all the time. Good. Upper body nice and still. Keep breathing. Let's do 3 more. And 3. Good, well done. And relax off. Good, well done. Okay. We're going to come onto all fours and just want to have a little stretch out. So from hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, and then I just want you to walk those knees out to the side, bring the feet together, and then just sit back onto your heels, walk those fingertips out in front, forehead and breastbone to come down towards the mat, just stretching out through those bottom muscles, through those hips. And just breathe, deep breath in. When you feel the ribs expanding as you take that breath in, and as you breathe out, lowering down. Good. Breath in. And out. Good. 1 more. Good. Well done. And then gently walk those fingertips back up to come into that nice sitting position. So we're going to come in and just do some planks in this position. So just really need to make sure that your technique is good on the plank. So if you're feeling it through your lower back, then stop. Your technique's wrong, or your body's fatigued and has gone, can't do that anymore. So just take a moment to readjust your position. If you're still feeling it through the lower back, then stop and have a break. So I'll just show you quickly and then we'll come into our plank. So you can either work on, from that prone position, just lifting your hips up. But just make sure that you're not arching through that lower back. So we really want to think about lifting through that belly button, squeezing through the bottom and holding that position. or if you feel like you can hold into a nice long plank onto your toes, you can work in that position as well. Okay, so come down onto your front. Again, if this is just too much for you, you can always come into swimming. So that nice long spine, nice long neck, core switched on, and you can hold an opposite arm and leg lift for 5 breaths. Coming back down, and then doing the other side. Just alternate. So we're going to aim to do a plank for a minute. Obviously stop if you need to, or if your back's not happy, or readjust your position if you need to. Or if you wanted to do the swimming instead, do that. Okay? So come down onto your front. Just make sure that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Those shoulders are drawn down away from your ears. Your neck's nice and long. And then from there, we're going to just make sure that that pelvis is as neutral as you can. So lengthening down through the tailbone, pulling up through the belly button. So we're going to take a breath in here, and as you breathe out, you're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, belly button in towards spine, breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to lift up into whichever plank position you feel you can work. So either onto your knees, or if you're happy to, you can come onto your toes. I'm going to hold it there, keep breathing. Get those shoulders away from your ears, neck nice and long, lift that breastbone and belly button up towards your spine. Try and lengthen down through the back, and imagine you've got a tail almost, and tuck it between your legs. So holding that position, keep breathing, making sure you're not feeling it through the lower back, but you might start to feel yourself just shaking a little bit there as those muscles start to work. Good, well done. So we're aiming to hold it for a minute. Three, 2, 1, and relax off. Good, well done. Okay, if you need to from that position, you can have a little sit back onto your heels and a stretch out. Now, let me give you an option in this next position. So you can either then come up into all fours, and from here just do alternate toe taps out behind you, keeping that spine nice and long. So make sure you're not arching through the lower back. Keep that spine nice and long. Or if you want to, we can come into a plank position and do toe taps to the side of the mat. Okay, so just make sure those shoulders are down, neck nice and long. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to lift up. Good. So really thinking about lengthening down through the back, pulling up through the front. And then from there, if you're happy to, little toe taps out to the side. Keep breathing. Keep the neck nice and long. Or if you're on all fours, tapping a leg out, coming back in. Tapping a leg out, coming back in. Keeping that spine nice and neutral, core switched on. Keep breathing. Make sure you're lengthening through that lower back. We've got 10 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Good, well done. Just have a little sit back onto your heels, stretch out through the arms, forehead and breastbone down towards the mat. Good. And then from there, just gently walk up onto hands and knees. So your hands are underneath your shoulders. Your knees are underneath your hips. Nice and long through the spine. And then from there, we're going to come into cat-cow. So we're going to drop chin to chest, lift up through the breastbone, lift up through the belly button. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs. curling through the spine and then lifting up through the other way. Lifting tailbone, lowering belly button, lower breastbone, and just draw a line forward with your nose. Lifting up, good. And again, tucking down. And then lifting back up. Breathing out, tuck down. Breathing in, lifting up. Good. One more time. And in as you lift up. Good. And then lengthen through the spine. And we're gently going to come down into a downward dog. So from here, just gently lifting up onto your toes. And then just lowering the heels down as you lengthen through the legs. And just gently lift one heel and lower the other. Good. Try and just take those shoulders away from your ears. Push into all of your fingertips. And then allowing those heels to drop down. Lift those sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Good. Maybe just look towards your belly button. Just with a big stretch through the back of the legs, maybe through your lower back. Keep those shoulders away from your ears. Let's just hold it for a couple more breaths. And then gently, you can either come back down onto your knees and then we'll come up into standing. Or if you're happy to, you can just walk your feet, just gently soften through the knees. Slowly walk the feet forward towards your hands. And then coming into a forward fold. So if you come onto your hands and knees and come up into standing, then you can just gently come down from your standing position, rolling down through the spine into that forward fold. And from there, I want you to bend your knees and try and take your chest towards your knees. Good. And then from there, either keeping your hands kind of relaxed or even holding on to the legs, just try and lengthen through the legs. Feel a big stretch through the back of the hamstrings. And it doesn't matter if you don't go all the way straight. It might be that you keep your knees stay quite bent and you can already feel a big stretch through the hamstrings. So go with what you feel comfortable doing. Good. And from there, we're just going to gently roll up. So really think about keeping those core muscles switched on. Just gently, slowly, mindfully stacking up through the spine. All the way tall, shoulders down, back of the neck nice and long. Good. From there, I'm going to stretch out through the side of the hip. So I'm going to get you to stand on your left leg, cross your right leg in front. So I'm going to do the left leg first. We're going to stick that left hip out to the side, reach your right fingertips down towards the floor. And then if you're happy to, just reach that left arm up and over. You should stretch really anywhere from the ribs down to the knee on that side, depending on where you're tight through that side. So really opening up through the left side. Keep breathing. Good. Hold for one more breath. Good. And gently come back up. And through. Uncross your legs. Stand on your right leg. Take your left leg in front. We're going to stick that right hip out to the side. Left fingertips reach down towards the floor. And right arm reaches up and over. Opening up through that right side. Again, feeling stretch anywhere from the rib cage down to the knee. Good. Coming back up and over. Good, well done. From there, we're just going to bring the legs wide. Just do a stretch through the adductors on the inner thigh. So keeping the legs nice and wide, toes pointing forward. I'm going to bend the right knee. And as you bend that right knee, you're going to try and stay out nice and tall. So it's easy to lean onto that side. But actually, you're going to try and almost push that inner thigh of the left leg towards the right leg. Put that outer edge of that left foot down towards the floor. And you should feel a stretch through the adductors and that inner thigh. Try and stay up nice and tall. Good. Keep breathing. Good, well done. Let's hold it for one more breath. We're gently going to come through to the centre, bend the left leg, try and stay up nice and tall, push that right inner thigh towards the left leg, and toes, outside edge of the foot, the little toe pushing out into the floor. Coming up nice and tall. Good. Hold it for one more breath. And then gently coming to the centre, and then just heel toe back into the centre and bring those feet really, really close together. Knees together, thighs together, come up nice and tall, drop those shoulders down. Just make sure you arch and hollow through that pelvis, lower back, come up nice and long through the pelvis, through the lower back, tall through the pelvis. And from there, I'm just going to get you to take some big breaths in. But as you breathe in, if you feel happy to and your balance is okay, if you need to hold on to something, hold on to something. Breath in. Imagine you're floating up tall. Breath out. Coming back down again. Good. Breath in. Up onto your toes. Breath out. Lowering back down again. Good. And again, breath in. Lengthening through. Breath out. Lowering back down. Keep the shoulders down. Good. If you want to just do it feet on the floor, breath in. Just imagine that spinal lengthening as you take a breath in, as you breathe out. Relax the shoulders down and lengthen to keep that length through the spine. 2 more times, big breath in. Good. Last one. Good, well done. Hope that makes you feel better. Get everything moving, loosen everything off and set you up for the rest of your day. Well done.